Here we go. It is Thursday, November 21st. We're a week before Thanksgiving, and I'm Dr. Paula Ruffin.
This and I'm Dr.
Go ahead.
Here we are.
Go ahead. You take
Dr. Erica Peabody, and this is Chiropractic is Sexy, and people still are asking why we call it that. And we'll go back to the original. So she made the original thumb tag, and I said, I don't know, like chiropractic talking with two hot docs, and it looked like two hot dogs. So we decided against that, and we decided to just say,
not that we're not a couple of hot dogs at some point. You know, it's like.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, we are here talking health, healing, life, and living, because living a really vibrant, healthy life in a body that can adapt and adjust to our days and what we're doing with it on a regular basis. Like, what's sexier than that? And, you know, the way we kind of enter in a room when we have good energy and high energy, we're able to get to the gym and do all the things that keep us healthy. Like, there's no better way. Oh, hello, Rebel.
Oh, hey, Rebel. How are you? Nice to see you.
So I'm going to start. I know we're a week before Thanksgiving, and I would love to be talking about that, but I was smacked in the face this morning, figuratively, by a patient, and I just wanted to just share the story really quick. And I may choke up because I was just shocked by this. So I have this patient. I haven't seen him since earlier this year, February, I think. And I can see that he's coming in today on the schedule and that he's staying with us for a massage. But the only thing on my paperwork that I can see on my side is the first initial. And him and his wife's first initials are the same. It's K. So I am automatically assuming it's her coming in, because she has been super proactive about her health, although I haven't seen her in a few months, and her son, who is a teenager now. So he's had like a shoulder surgery, he had arm surgery, carpal tunnel surgery, rebuilt all of the back of his left hand, and then he had carpal tunnel. So this is all since December of last year. And I'm like, wow. And he's super physical. You know, they have a farm, they have horses and cows, and they have buffalo. They do all this stuff, travel between here in South Dakota and here in the UP, constant and continuous. So he's telling me all of this stuff, and I get him on the table. He also has already had a lumbar spine fusion years and years and years ago. So some certain adjustments are contraindicated anyway. And he gets on the table, he gets off the table. And I said, you know, I hope you're going to see our new therapist, Rebecca, today. Enjoy your massage. Really great to see you. Let's see you sooner than later. He's walking away and he says, did you hear about my wife? I won't share her name, but did you hear about my wife? And I said, no, she died. And I'm like, oh. So a few months ago, she was riding horses and with the kids down in Kentucky, Tennessee area, fell off the horse, landed wrong, exploded her liver. Young, early 50s. And this stuff comes up for us. And I just think about like friends that are in like medical doctors and nurses. I have nurse friends, and I just think there's such a human component inside of this. And of course, I am like just not burst into tears. I don't want to call it that, but just was like there in tears with him.
Overcome.
Yes, overcome by that. And I've seen her, she's been under care since my very first office location. So I'm in my fourth office location in 20 years. And I just am baffled at something so simple, something, you know, not that falling off a horse is routine, but we are not promised a tomorrow. And that hit me so hard in the face earlier. I mean, I've had a couple of hours to kind of process that. And I went into the next room with a woman whose husband died almost a year ago. Next week will be a year. And so I show up into the next room and I'm in tears. I'm a human. And I think about what I was saying is about my nurse friends and the MDs, like they're not allowed to cry in front of patients. Like it's just a wild thing to me. So of course, grief is one of the things that gets into our tissues and into our body. And so anyways, I started crying. He started crying again, hugs and whatever. And then the next patient that I saw, I adjusted her and she knew I was in tears. I adjusted her and, she's like, okay, you clearly need a hug. And I said, yeah, life is so precious. It's so precious. And our bodies are more precious than we give them credit for. They should be respected, not because of that fall, but like respected the fact. And we've talked about this before. When we first start to respect our body and our health is when we no longer have it, or when we're, at the end of life, we finally are like, oh, that life force that's inside of us. Like, we just don't know. We're not promised time. We're not promised tomorrow. So just wanted to kind of bring that in because that is also a part of our days. And when grief is inside of our world, it can affect our health, our days, our ability to think straight, our body's ability to function properly. And then, just so many things. So anyways, I was really glad to see him today. And I said, let's get you back under regular care and help the body kind of work through all of this. So just, wow.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm so sorry to hear that. Certainly be praying for them and you as well, because I know that's terrible, especially when it's sudden. It was sudden for them, and of course it's sudden for you. Mm-hmm. So, the thing with grief, we talk about vibrational, we talk about vibrations and energy a lot on this channel, on this show, and how it affects your nervous system. And the highest vibrational levels are love and joy. Hope is up there. But when we get down into grief and sadness, that really lowers our vibration. And what does that really mean? It means your nervous system is in a state of fight or flight. Mm-hmm. It means you can't heal. And so all the things that you just mentioned, that how it affects your health, it's because your body's not in an optimal state when it's in grief. Mm-hmm. However, you have to go through it.
I know, right through the middle is where it's at. Yeah.
I think people are just used to going through life in these low vibrational states without understanding the care that they need to take for themselves or provide for themselves, mm-hmm. so that their nervous system is protected, so their bodies are protected coming out the other end. Mm-hmm. Like you say, we're not promised a tomorrow. We're going to hear, unfortunately, stories like mm-hmm. that. So we can be living on these higher vibrational scales, and then we get derailed, and we can come out of it faster. Mm-hmm. And then when we come out of it, we also know what to do with it to get mm-hmm. ourselves out of it faster. So
and he said to me, he's like, I'm so sorry to ruin your day. I'm like, I am grateful to know, because, is it a chance that we could have put them on a recall list and not know this information? You're like, who knows, right? Yeah. To recall the patients in the new year, if somebody's kind of gone off of their regular care. And so I was just really grateful to know. And he said, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, you didn't ruin my day. I'm stunned by this information. And when I can feel that, what we've talked about this before, like, it's the traumas, thoughts, and toxins, right, that create these disturbances in our body's ability to function properly. And the thoughts, that's where that grief goes into. It also goes into gratitude. Another patient had mentioned gratitude, because I wrote about that in our newsletter this month. But I want to ask you out there, if you're listening, and when you are listening, have you ever been so happy or elated that you could feel that from head to toe? And have you ever been so sad that you could feel that from head to toe? Or have you ever been so angry that you could feel that from head to toe? That is the thoughts process, and how powerful our thoughts are to our nervous system, to integrating life, and to just, getting through the days, and just all the things, and how much interference that can create in our ability to move forward and progress through our days, through our life, through our health. the next
Yeah, I
patient.
talk about that all the time, where it's okay. You think about somebody, you get butterflies in your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
You think about something and you get a nervous stomach. You're like, oh, or like suddenly it makes you have to go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
That is thoughts affecting your whole being.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to pay attention to that, which of course, that's why we always talk about there is a gut brain connection.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this, I think 3 weeks ago, about the vagus nerve, which is up here, which goes all the way down and it wraps around the heart, the lungs, all your digestive organs, all your vital organs. So that's why when you think a thought, it cascades through. So that thought can be something that brings you grief. It is a thought that can bring you love, joy, and hope. And so it's very important to be mindful of your thoughts that you're putting in and the thoughts that you're allowing your brain to run rampant with. It's like, sometimes I think of, this is why I don't watch scary movies, because and you and I have talked about this, like you can start feeling like you're living a movie or something. And it's like, I don't want to think like that. I mean, there are movies that I think of that I watched when I was a teenager that, because my friends would make me watch scary movies at Halloween and I hated it. And I'm like, yeah, Last House on the Left, that was one of them. House of Echoes, I think, Stir of Echoes. That was a Kevin Bacon. Did you ever see that one?
No.
And the little girl got bricked up in the wall of his house and then it's terrible. Like I think about those. Literally, I saw them when I was a teenager, and I'm like, I wish I could unsee things like that. And I know it affects my neurology just to think about that. So
we had
I try
talked
to
about
just
that.
replace it with other things.
Right. It's the laughter is the best medicine. Was it Cousins? No, Stephen Cousins. Who is that again? We talked about it just a few weeks ago.
Somebody Cousins.
Right.
And who?
No, I think it's laughter is the best medicine, and how that can literally bring about healing.
Norman. We'll remember it one of these times.
Is it Cousins?
It says he took massive intravenous doses of vitamin C and had self-induced bouts of laughter brought on by the films of the television show Candid Camera. I didn't realize that. And various, let's see. I'll find it. Yeah. So isn't that interesting? Yes. He did research on the biochemistry of human emotions. Oh, okay. So he was sort of like the founding father of this, which he long believed were the key to human being success in fighting illness. It was a belief he maintained even as he battled a 1964, a sudden case of a crippling connective tissue disease, which also referred to as a collagen disease. Confirmed his diet. Oh, he had ankylosing spondylitis as well. He was told he had 1 in chance of 500 of recovery, and he took massive doses of intravenous vitamin C, which they did that back then. Then there was a time when you could never find IV vitamin C. Now you can find, it's not as common as we would like, but it's. And then also Candid Camera and various other comic films. His positive attitude was not new to him. He was always an optimist. He was known for his kindness and his robust love of life itself. I mean, it's just such a, like I said, it doesn't mean life isn't going to come and derail us. It just means that how do we respond to that?
Yeah. And that goes into, the 6 pillars of health that we talk about all the time, which is eat well and move well and think well. That's that part of it, the think well. And it doesn't mean to silver lining everything and, what do they call it? Toxic positivity. That's not really what it is, but it's like we can use our thoughts to help our health a lot. And this obviously being Thanksgiving week next week, which it's a Thursday. So we'll have to figure out what our schedule looks like next week. So with Thanksgiving, I put out my newsletter in November, which talks about gratitude, of course, because it's always the time to be thankful, even though all the time is a time to be thankful. And one of my patients on the table, he's actually a retired MD, and he's like this really awesome, he's probably, what is he, mid 80s now? Earthy, crunchy, kind of, if you wanted to call somebody that, like really into spirituality. And he loves to have a lot of really philosophical conversations on the table when he's here with me. And he said he was face up on the table and finishing up his adjustment. And he said, you're something about your words. You were in a little jingle or something in my head about your newsletter that you wrote this month. And he said, I have this song that I wrote called A Thimble Full of Gratitude. And I'm wondering if you have, anybody musically inclined in your circle that would want to actually put the music to this. And I don't necessarily have that, but I'm grateful, pun intended here, that that as that message goes out, that people are really listening and hearing that. And because all we have to really do is turn the TV off. If we turn the TV off, we can literally look around and find so many things to be grateful for. If you leave the TV on, it's just going to take a different angle in your mindset, and then therefore in your thought process, and your also can translate into your health. So yeah, it's just, interesting timing.
Yeah. Well, and I always say too, that you can't be, I've never heard that term. What'd you say? Toxic positivity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think years ago, 25 plus years ago, whenever I started studying personal growth and positive, we were taught positive mental attitude when I was in high school. I had our softball instructor. He always talked about PMA. And before every game, and he would give us a pep talk, and then we'd put our hands in and we'd all go PMA. And then we were doing so well, we would go, 1-0, 2-0. We went 12-0 that year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, we'd go PMA, 6-0, whatever. But yeah, so that was my first introduction to it. And then as I really started to understand the resources and where that came from with him, I got into this whole, I didn't realize it at the time, toxic positivity, where you can positive think your way out of everything. It's not realistic, and no, you can't. But I realized years later that you can be going through whatever, crap, darkness, whatever it is you're going through, and you can still maintain hope and optimism, which are still high on the vibrational scale. So, you can't be happy and sad at the same time, but in your sadness, you can remain hopeful and optimistic. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a much healthier way to go through it, rather than just trying to bury it and stuff it down. Mm-hmm. So, and gratitude is part of that as well. Like when you're going through the darkness, where does gratitude land? And there are, you think of all the things that happen in your life, and in the moment when you're in the eye of the storm and you say to yourself, I can't imagine being grateful for this thing that I'm going through, but you can still be grateful for who you have in your life at the moment, for your health, maybe your business, maybe your family. There's things you can be grateful for. Maybe because you just woke up, so it's where do you land on the gratitude scale? And even in the face of darkness, being able to express gratitude will still move you up through that.
Mm-hmm. And back up towards health too. I mean, those same chemicals that are released when we're in gratitude and all of those kind of positive mental attitude, those are the same chemicals that are involved in healing. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of one and the same. So anyway, I didn't mean to hijack the entire podcast, but we always want to come straight off of the adjusting floor and bring you guys our stories. So I just wanted to kind of share that part and how real life is. And, one of the biggest falsehoods that we are all telling ourselves is that we have time. So,
yeah. And, I don't think it's a hijack at all. I think, unfortunate, it's a rather unfortunate situation. However, I think the story is timely for us to be able to talk about gratitude. When we get together with people, you're right, we're not guaranteed time. I'm going down to visit my sister in North Carolina. It's going to be quick. Wednesday, I'll be back Friday early morning. And but it's some time. It's time to spend with loved ones. And years ago, I heard somebody say this, and it was, when you think about friends and family who live out of town, that when you start to think about, as we age, how many more days do you have with them? How many more days? When you think about that, if you visit somebody once a year, how many more days will you be able to spend in life with them? I mean, it's kind of crazy when you think about connection in that respect. So it'll be a quick trip. It'll be fine. There's a million excuses I could make. I don't like to travel on the holiday. My daughter and I usually do our own tree. We'll still go get our own tree, and we usually get our tree the day after Thanksgiving. There's a lot of reasons and a lot of excuses I could have made to not go, but it means a lot to her, and of course it means a lot to me to see her too. But I think we allow these excuses to get in our way for things that really matter. And I think connection and family, we can tend to really gloss over that. I think Thanksgivings are going to look weird. Maybe for some people. I think the majority of people, we're going to be just fine. People are canceling holidays with people because of political views. And I think that's like, boy, if you can't sit down and have a meal together, then you better start expressing some more gratitude in your life, right? I mean, what is going on there?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, I was, as we're talking about Thanksgiving, I was thinking about, obviously these podcasts, we run so quick, right? But I was thinking if we could sort of look ahead to Thanksgiving and you can share maybe 3 of your favorite, since we're a week away, like, how do you prep to stay healthy? Not healthy, like don't catch a cold and stuff like that, but are there certain food things you do? Are there certain movement things you do? Or like, how do you prep to travel, do Thanksgiving, and come out the other side without taking a major step back? So I'm curious.
So this is all about presetting, right? So Monday will be Preset Monday. So you guys can tune in on that, 9:40 every Monday. And so it's Reset Monday, but we always preset before the holiday. But so I just tap into, I go a little bit more hyper-focused on my health. So extra water, more than I ever would drink. Really just scaling back on, and of course my diet isn't really that, probably the alcohol, because I do want a Bloody Mary at the holidays, or maybe a couple. So, maybe some bubbly or something. So I am going to have cocktails. And my one big thing that I love to have at the holidays is I just need a pile of bread dressing, stuffing, loaded in gravy with some turkey. Like, that's it. Like, that's what I want. I don't want the vegetables. I don't want the sweet potato. I don't care if I have anything healthy on Thanksgiving, because I'm going to do all the things leading up to that, trying to get my rest, making sure I'm going to bed at a specific time, really making sure I'm exercising, tapping into my exercise. I'm a little off my schedule because I had events last weekend and I was able to get out and take the dog for a walk, but I didn't do yoga. So these next couple of weeks have been a little rocky. So I'm really tapping into my exercise, my workouts. I'll be in South Carolina. So that means I'm hoping it'll be warm enough I can get up and, at least go walk, 3 or 4 miles in the morning. And then when I come back, it's going to be very much the same thing. So I'm not going to beat myself up for, eating anything indulgent. I'm not an overindulging person though, to begin with. I don't need to have all the pies and the cakes. If there's a chocolate pie, I'll take 1 bite. And if there's a pecan pie, I'll take 1 bite. Don't need the pumpkin. So that's kind of how I do it. I do things in small bits. For me, indulgent is like 1 bite of pie, right? So,
yeah.
So what do you do?
So first thing is that, and I think we kind of take it for granted, but we both always get adjusted every week. So that will definitely take precedence over the week leading into Thanksgiving, not only for physical, but also mental, emotional, chemical, all the things. And then one thing I really like to stick with is that when our bellies get more than 3/4 of the way full, it starts to produce stress hormones. So I don't like that super duper full gluttonous feeling anyway. And so I first of all, fill my plate with greens, and then go for the protein after that rather than all the rest of the stuff. So definitely do that. Increase water, and movement is a non-negotiable every single day. What are you laughing
for the
at?
bread dressing.
What's that? Yeah. So yeah. So definitely do that. And then I usually obviously we're going to have a cocktail, right? And so if there was going to be a cocktail, maybe this weekend, maybe I'll skip on that just to make sure. Because I mean, to be honest, and you guys know this, after you've been on this podcast with us for a little over a year now, my body isn't as resilient. I do tend to kind of, I don't want to say catch things, but it's not as resilient as it used to be. So I am even more conscientious about that. I also know, so next week I work Monday, regular hours, Tuesday, regular hours, which is just the afternoon, and then just Wednesday morning. And even though I could take Wednesday afternoon through the Sunday and fill it chock full of stuff, I do know that it really suits me really well to be involved with family and then be really, really quiet at home. Like take an entire half of a day and just sit, you know what I mean? Like just sit really still and, maybe get a few things caught up. But I will do everything I can to, make sure it's eat well, drink my water, get my movement, and then manage the stress activities. And for me, I love my family and they're very simple to be around. And we all enjoy each other's company, which I feel very fortunate for that. Because when we sit down and share a meal, then we always do what are we grateful for around the table kind of thing. And, then we head into the next holiday, which is basically the entire month of December. So I not only take what I'm doing next week, which is the adjustment, movement, water, and proper food and all that, but I get very, very diligent through this next month because things can go really haywire. So it'd be great if you guys all, as you're listening to this, just kind of look ahead and not only make a plan for success for this holiday, but also the entire holiday season, because it's long and arduous and fun and lots of things to do. And it can land us in the new year not feeling so great, not feeling so hot, and not being able to really work with our immune system like it should. So get in for your adjustments for sure. We're here, through, like I said, next week and then all the way into Christmas. And then we take that week off. So yes, if you're listening, get your booty in here.
Get in here. Well, and you bring up a good point too, which I think if you're going to be around here locally, now again, I'm traveling and my sister, they tend to have some pretty healthy fare. So it's not going to be, there are some, I mean, you all know, like if you have certain family members or certain places that you go, it's going to be a disaster, right? So,
for food options, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. And, Erica and I went to an event 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we both had agreed. So it was and we've been, I think this is our 3rd year in a row going, but it's like a strolling dinner. So they come around with the trays and, there's a few, they had like some charcuterie and things like that. And we both were like, let's go get dinner first, because also what you find when you get into a situation where it's just that little tray is going to come by and you're like, what? And then you start freaking out that you're not going to get any food and you don't even care what's on that tray. Mm-hmm. So we said, let's go have dinner first. Let's get something in our bellies. And we did. We had a wonderful meal. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I even shared this with you, but I meant to tell you that I'm so glad we did that, because did you notice the lack of strolling trays that came? I think I only saw like 2 trays come by, and then there was like some hummus, like they had a table set up and had like hummus and tapenade and some cheese and cracker, charcuterie. And I'm like, that's not dinner.
Well, I'm a little astounded by it too, because it's a gala event. So we're all very fancy, but then it doesn't match necessarily what we're served. So I'm super glad we did that dinner too, because we both had, what did we have? Shrimp, salmon.
Yeah.
What did we eat? Shrimp.
Did I have the
just
shrimp?
lots of protein. They had a gluten-free, kind of like a crusty thing. Remember, I had that to put it was so good.
Yeah.
But
nice arugula salad.
Yep, we were protein heavy and greens before we even went there. And that doesn't mean that you need to eat ahead of time for your holidays. And maybe it does for you. Maybe you've made some major, major headway this year with your health, with your adjustments, with your workouts. Maybe you're really, really feeling good. Just because it's the holidays, that doesn't mean that we have to go into it and trash our bodies. We really don't. But sometimes there's like, well, why aren't you eating? Or why aren't you this? Or why aren't you that? And I just, I want to encourage all of you out there to just be empowered in a way where you choose, like I've been eating and just probably over consuming organic grass-fed burger lately, because it's like my most favorite thing. And if you get it right, it's got all the minerals and all the things. It's like having a multivitamin. There's so many great benefits to that. So, so this is what happens at my family. They'll say, show up anytime after 3. We'll eat around 4:30. We actually eat at 9. We do every year. And I think it's going to be different, but that's usually how it goes. And so I'm like, okay, I'll probably get up. I'll have an early lunch, and I'll probably make myself a really high protein lunch. And then I will probably eat at 3:30 before I go over there around 4, knowing that it's not going to be any different than it's been in the last few years. And I'm going to be starving and ravenous if I don't. And it's not the best way, because so now I know I'm going to eat a whole meal, probably 2 full meals before I get over there and enjoy the company. But I literally do not want to trash my body. I don't.
Yeah.
And there's a tendency to do that. So just, have a plan up front. So,
yeah. And if you're like you have to take a dish somewhere, I always say too, like, make sure that dish is something you will eat that's healthy, because you never know what's going to make an appearance. So if you bring the one thing and I'm notorious, my favorite thing to take anywhere is hummus with sliced veggies and maybe some organic tortilla chips, which can totally end up being a meal if something else doesn't show up.
We were,
right?
well, a week before, so what was it? 2 weeks ago, we were at the gala. Then I think a week prior to that was when we were at an election watch party.
Oh, right.
And we were invited to this beautiful location in downtown Milford. And it was like, oh, wait, I see we're supposed to bring a dish to pass. And I'm like, I don't know what to bring to a place that I don't know these people. Like, I don't know exactly what's happening. I don't know the setting. And so your advice was, bring something that if it ends up becoming your only meal for the night, because everything is a disaster there, then at least you brought something you can consume, which is you brought your hummus and veggies and the tortilla chips that you talked about. I brought a charcuterie tray and a veggie tray. And it was like, that was
Carrie brought broccoli salad.
And then a friend, brought a broccoli salad. That was it for a while. And we were starving when we got there. And then like cookies, brownies, and all that stuff showed up on one countertop. But then there was actually a really delicious pizza. Tacos showed up. Like there was some really good stuff to eat, but it was like we were so hungry. We had both finished our days of working and we were headed right there. So that's always, if you have to bring a dish to pass, don't just go to the grocery store and grab those colored frosting sugar cookies because it's the easiest thing. Like really think it through, maybe take 15 more seconds, think it through, pick something that you would eat and bring that. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. And really in hindsight, we should have gone to dinner ahead of time. So
we should have.
I feel like that is really the answer to a lot of these parties is just go, and it doesn't have to be heavy. It's just grab something light, something that's protein heavy with some greens, And then you get there, and even if you don't want to eat anything, or even if you do want to eat something, you're not going to be as ravenous. You won't pile down, 3 slices of pizza, or cookies or whatever it is. So it's really just figuring out how to protect yourself, because your brain's going to make you want to just dive in and eat whatever if you're super hungry, right?
I know. I walked over to that island when we were at the election watch party, and it was like somebody had made like brownies like this big and like thick, and you could tell they were gooey and delicious. And then there was like some pumpkin chocolate chip cookies. There were like little tiny, I think like tart kind of things or something. And I walked over there and I was like, I would house at least one brownie, at least one cookie, and at least, and that would have been fine. And really not fine. It would take my body some time to get through all that level of inflammation. So just take a moment, be mindful, and then choose wisely as you're going forward. And, one of the greatest ways to increase your bandwidth for willpower is through making sure you're getting adjusted. We have enough other stresses in our life. So get your nervous system and, your interference inside of this information superhighway, and making sure that that's on board. And then, it's like people will go to the gym after that and do like, what do they call it? A revenge workout. Do your best to avoid having to go and do a revenge workout.
That's so great.
Like I mean, what did it say? It was like, I forgot what they were. It was like, you needed to do 150 burpees to work off something like 10 McDonald's French fries. Don't quote me on this. But it was like, do I really want the French fries if it's going to cost me blood? That's what I'm talking about with a revenge workout. Like, just don't get yourself where you're making a disaster.
And it's not as simple as that. The metabolic insult that you put upon your system with sugar and the oils and the crap, it's like, you could go burn off the calories, but you're not going to reverse the metabolic damage that you're putting inside your body. So you have to think about that as, how am I metabolically affecting myself? And I'm not much enticed by sweets, but I'll go to, when we went to the gala and they had those really beautiful looking cupcakes, and I brought one over and I said, let's see if it's worthy of the calories. Because I'm not opposed to having like a really good dessert if I think it's worthy. And I literally took my fork and it was just the slightest bit, just enough to put on my tongue so I could get the flavors, I could get the texture. It wasn't even a full bite. And you were like, you're ready with your fork and you're like, is it worth it? And I go, don't do it. No. It was dry. It was nasty. It didn't, like, I don't know what oils were used in there, but it didn't. And and
the texture was like it was made at least 2.5 weeks ago. It was the way it was decorated was so beautiful. But then also, you remember, so if you took a softball like this and you cut it in half, so let's just say you literally like cut a softball, like a high school softball, in half. They had gluten-free cookies that size. And I stuffed Paula's purse with them because they were so good. It was like almost like a monster cookie. So it was like, I don't know, peanut, like butterscotch chips and
something,
chocolate chips and maybe peanut butter or something. And they were gluten-free. So it's very hard to come by a cookie that looks that good and tastes that good that's gluten-free. And so, we definitely.
Don't be upset, but I threw them away yesterday. I was like, what are these?
I know. Yeah.
They never get eaten. They look really good. And it's fun to think, oh, I'll eat this with coffee or something. No, I just don't. I'm like, but I did take one bite and it was delicious. And
I ate a whole one for sure. Oh yeah, for sure. It was so good.
Yeah. Cause it's like, okay, if that's worth it for your taste buds, and we know what to do to reverse it. So let's just make sure that we don't do this all the time and that we're prepping and right.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh my gosh. No, I think this is good lessons, like presetting, offering that level of gratitude, and, also thinking about when you go into, I think if you lead with gratitude, regardless of where you're at and what you're doing, and, everybody has stressful relatives and, you get into a little fight or flight going into it. But I think if you just really express the gratitude versus thinking about how much fight or flight you get into with being in certain people's company. Just think about just gratitude and boundaries, and you'll be fine. And because if you go in looking for a fight or with that whole negativity, guess what you're going to get?
Yeah, exactly that.
And we'll come back to you. So yeah. Well, anything else you want to share on today's show?
I think that's about it. We'll just put you back together on the other side as well. Some of you are traveling, and, I really love, I don't know where we got to this like turkey thing in our country, for what it's worth, but
was it even related to the pilgrims? I don't know. Is it?
I think it's actually pretty gnarly, sort of how the holiday started. Right. And, so anyway, I'm not sure what the turkey had to do with it, but I love people's other ideas about what to have. Like, this one family, they're like, it's just going to be the 4 of us. And I got some really, really nice grass-fed beef steaks that we're going to do instead. And, I think one of the greatest parts about COVID, if I could say there was a great part, is that people stopped doing what they've always done just because they've always done it. Right. And so there was a big kind of like, some couldn't get together with family or lost family members or what have you along those ways, and start to really question, like, is this really the best use of my time? Is, being on the road for a 2-hour dinner, like, could they come to us? There's just, and as the holiday season, same thing. As the Christmas and New Year's holiday rolls around, it's the same kind of thing. Like, what really suits us? What really serves us? What really serves us mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically? And let's just make choices that align with us, pun intended, and get through the holidays better, safer, faster, easier, and healthier.
So get adjusted before you go and after, and you'll survive your relatives that much better, right? So we got to figure out if we're going to come on here. Dr. Eric and I will check our schedules for next week. In the past, we have come to you on Tuesday instead of Thursday when there's been some kind of a holiday. Mm-hmm. So we will make sure we get an announcement out ahead of time so you guys know if we can be joining you on Tuesday instead. But we definitely will not see you next Thursday. You might see us on Tuesday. So anything else we want to share? Are we good?
I think that's it. Watch for us going forward. We're headed into the new year in a powerful way, and we're excited. And there's just, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So.
I know. I'm so excited. So yeah. All right, you guys. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate your comments. Have a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. And remember, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. We'll see you guys soon.
Love you guys.
Bye.